Greetings everyone, hey, how you doing? It's Matt Sella. Today we are doing another spoiler talk review for DuckTales Season 3, Episode 4, dubbed The Lost Harp of Mervana. Joined here via satellite radio is my good friend Marc. How you doing out there, Marc? It's pretty late, isn't it?
Pretty late, pretty wet, pretty fishy. I don't like it.
And that stink really lingers on, I bet. And poor Della Duck, she probably couldn't handle it for too long.
No, she denounced her family and kicked a king in the face.
Well, I say, Marc, without further ado, let's get into this episode here. And remember, folks, this is a spoiler review, so make sure you're aware. Spoilers ahead.
Well, we got our own mermaid.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We got our own little one. How about that? Well, we had her around for a while. But anyway, Marc, why don't you let the fine folks know, what is this episode, The Lost Harp of Mervana, all about?
Well, Matt, the Duck family joins a Zen mermaid society to find one of the missing mysteries. But Louie is convinced the seemingly innocent mermaids have a villainous agenda of their own. And also, Mrs. Beakley has to learn to tell the truth to poor little Webigail sometimes, even if it means crushing her optimistic innocence. A fun time for everyone.
Truly fun indeed. Well, I'll tell you one thing, man. That was definitely an interesting little theme going on with this episode here about finding your inner truth and coming to terms with certain things about yourself and what's in your heart. It's kind of funny to see all this. Especially the fact that Webby is such a trained kind of spy from her grandmother and a major asset in all this adventuring and stuff. Suddenly, her dreams are shattered and she just becomes as cynical, maybe even more depressed than Louie gets.
And quite literally a limp noodle. To the point that, you kind of just want to be like, Webby, get up. This whole place is falling apart.
Which I guess I'll go into one of my first positives here. I think so far with Season 3, the animation has been pretty solid throughout. There was some fun imagery going on, especially when Webby gets all depressed and Louie is trying to drag her around so they could escape the dangers and things like that. So I think they did a really fine job in that regard.
Oh my God, Matt.
Yeah.
We missed a little mermaid reference.
Oh, did we?
And not just because it's about mermaids. I'm going over my notes here. Apparently, according to the internet, Webby at one point says, "Look at this stuff, isn't it neat?"
You didn't catch that?
No, I didn't catch that. I'm tired, man. I'm tired. There's mermaids. There's water.
That's right, folks. And I do apologize for this late review. We all got caught up in our own things. But anyway, to jump straight back to the point, yes, I did catch a lot of those references. And you would think, folks, for a guy who's probably known for drawing mermaids a lot, you think I would really like the aesthetics of this episode? Well, the fact is, they're half fish, sure, but they're also half duck. So that's kind of weird for me. On a personal scale, that just does not really compute. But hey, what can you do?
Do we put them in the poultry or the seafood section?
They're definitely chicken of the sea.
Well, ducks of the sea, Matt. Ducks of the sea.
It's foul.
No, Matt, that's the evil organization.
I see what you did there. But jokes aside, Marc, let's actually get to the point about how we feel about this episode. Now, you were mentioning to me that you were having trouble kind of understanding the rules of how this Mervanian society works.
A little of how it works, more so, it was a hippie commune, full stop there. So, that's how it operates. But just my understanding is at one point, everything was fine. Then the new king was crowned and he was kind of lazy and a bit of a deadbeat. And the harp kept telling him this and he just peaced out. But apparently if they stay underwater for too long, they become monstrous. But is it completely submerged or just, half, the rules for this transformation are weird. Especially because, spoiler, at the end, he gets beached and he quickly returns to his regular form. But he's also crawling around on a cave floor a little bit and doesn't seem to transform back. I don't know. Maybe he just needed a kick in the face. That's the moral of this episode. When someone is not doing their job and can't handle the truth, kick him in the face.
Oh my God, that has so many undertones, Marc.
It does.
But to get to your point, though, yeah, you're kind of right. Maybe, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, maybe they have to be above the sea level, not necessarily in a dry space. But even then, that might be a little bit.
That's fair, because the sea cape, I think, technically was still submerged. But then the tower wasn't submerged, and no one could find this tower.
You know what? That's true. That's true. Even though it was right around the corner.
I'm nitpicking. I think it was a fine episode overall. I don't think it's. Some people might think it's probably the weaker season 3 so far. I thought it was just a fun adventure episode. I like it when we can just go have an adventure. I do think it's a little weird that after going to Atlantis and a sea lab, we kind of went back to some underwater stuff. But I enjoyed it. Like, what were some of your? Oh, wait, we got more trivia. What am I saying? This was a backdoor Teen Titans reunion.
Oh, was it?
Yes, 2 of our hippie friends are voiced by none other than Beast Boy and Starfire. One is kind of pinkish and one is kind of green. I really, kind of should have literally seen that coming.
Now, I caught the voice for Starfire, but I didn't quite catch the Beast Boy one, so that's a good catch right there.
It is. Thank you.
But yeah, to kind of go on my points as well, to piggyback off what you were saying, I think the whole idea that these are actually like people who can live on both land and sea, that was established in the beginning through an archaeological find, and also the fact that these people revealed it to the family. But at the same time, the point about how the king became a sea monster by being submerged for too long, I do wonder if that really made sense to me, because these Mervanians are essentially undersea dwellers. And yes, they do have their own little grotto where they could come out for air and stuff like that. But I do wonder how often do they even do that? And then again, see, I'm arguing with myself already. They have a statue of their king that's above a waterline, so I guess technically they're not in the same boat as the king was. But even then, I kind of wondered to myself, when I saw the monster and before we got to the harp, I felt like the king's transformation was caused more by like a third party or outside source. Like when we got into this episode, I was half expecting the Greek gods to be involved in some way. Like we kind of got like Zeus and Storkules and whatever they call themselves. I was half expecting there to be like a Poseidon-like figure that kind of created the society that somehow got the king to become that monster. But no, it was purely just a whole balancing thing that was supposed to be the center of what this episode's about. And while I get it in the end, I don't know. I feel like it could have made a little bit more sense of how the Mervanians operate.
Yeah, I wonder how much we're overthinking it.
We probably are.
We really probably are. But it was fun. It's kind of heavily implied Mrs. Beakley is still lying to Webby. I'm kind of going to put on my tinfoil hat and say she works for Fowl, but...
Or she did work for Fowl.
Yeah, or there's some real double agency afoot.
Because I really can't imagine Mrs. Beakley working for Fowl now. Like maybe in the past, but we're only speculating at this point. We still have quite a few more episodes to go.
No, yeah, that's really just me being silly and just kind of being like, but wait a minute.
Exactly. But that's what makes watching the show so much fun.
Right? Even when I'm wrong.
Hey man, I'm wrong all the time and I love it. But to conclude on my thoughts on this episode specifically, while visually it was a really cool looking episode with the underwater effects and all that, and hey, they actually animated the mer people correctly. That's good. Overall, I think the world building, I feel like could have been flushed out a little bit more, no pun intended, but I did like Della's apprehension and I did like the little storyline about Mrs. Beakley and how truthful she is to her granddaughter, Webby. And also the fact that Louis kind of got a bit of character growth himself, valuing his level of cynicism versus actually having some remnants of hope for people. So I thought that was a really cool element.
Yeah, it's like she maybe doesn't subscribe to it, but she does see value in Webby's optimism and trying to believe there's good in people. So it's nice she wasn't, downplaying that as a positive aspect.
Yeah. Oh, and one last bit I'll say before we wrap up here. And this is just me personally, folks, but I did have trouble understanding the harp sometimes when she was trying to tell the backstory of the king. So I understood it ultimately in the end, but some of the specifics of why the tower sunk into the ocean, I wasn't too sure exactly what she was saying was being neglected, if she said that at all. But whatever, I understood the general narrative of this episode, so. But anyway, folks, you heard our opinion, but now we want to hear yours. Let us know in the comment section below. Did you enjoy this episode of DuckTales Season 3, Episode 4, The Lost Harp of Mervana? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Share your thoughts and join the conversation. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified when new videos drop. And if you want to support me directly, please go to my Patreon or do a one-time donation at my Streamlabs. Links are in the description below. This is Matt Sella.
This is Fish Stick Mark.
Oh my goodness, thanking you all for swimming in. I'm never saying that again.